Welcome along, everybody. We are back for more ALR action, and we're back in silver, although we've got a familiar face from gold, and it is Emerson Hilton, who is going to be back on track tonight for the for this race anyway, hoping to have a good performance there in his Ferrari. He is out on track now. We'll have a look at him now as he goes on his first flying lap of quite a long time, and we'll put him in as the showcase there for the opening of the stream as well, because he is back in ALR racing again in the Ferrari as well, and looking to see what he can do there time wise in the first session of the only session of this qualifying format tonight here in silver, season 5, round 16 here in Monza. And there we go then into the Della Roger chicane. He goes going over the curbs there, making it a bit too difficult for himself there, and I think that is the rustiness that you can see there, but nonetheless looking forward to seeing what he can do later on in this race and in this qualifying as well. Like I said, I think hasn't played the game, well, I believe he hasn't played the game since the game came out pretty much in July, so yeah, so maybe getting used to the mechanics once again. I can appreciate it's probably a bit tough, a bit difficult there as well, but going through Ascari now, and like I said, it's looking a bit difficult there for the Ferrari driver, getting to grips with the car. Dan Murphy and Ayrton as well. Ayrton, of course, returning as well in the Alpine tonight. But they've both lost their car keys, unfortunately, so not going to be taking part in this qualifying session, as Fangio has gone fastest there with a 19.8. And here comes Emerson now round the Parabolica to finish off his lap. What's it going to be from the Ferrari driver? It's a 20.4 there, puts himself into P3 for the time being. Of course, Dopey Lemons there slotting himself up into P2. Good stuff indeed from the Alpine driver. Dylan in P4 with a 20.8 as well. Equaz there has jumped up ahead of Emerson there with a 20.4 as well, but just a few thousandths of a tenth away from the Ferrari driver as well. Rabbit in P3, P6 I should say, but I think he's done a time there on the intermediate compound tyre, so he's 3 seconds off the pace, or 3.5 seconds off the pace there on his intermediate compounds. Of course, we have started the session a bit earlier than the usual, so we've got a bit less qualifying time, although the drivers have been qualifying since the timer did start, so we have now got Ultimate Beast crossing the line there to go P8 there with a 24.4. I'm not quite sure if that's a representative time there from Beast. Of course, he won the one. It was the Netherlands Grand Prix, I think it was, only 2 weeks ago. No, I think it might have been the Belgian Grand Prix before that, sorry, 3 weeks ago now, but nonetheless, we are back. Of course, you can see I'm very rusty because I've had a break week, so I had a week off where I've just been maxing and relaxing as a reflection there. Got myself up into a P6 position there with a 21.0. Good stuff indeed. VTOD there with a 33. I'm not quite sure that's for the driver, but we'll have to find out what the driver's going to be doing. Of course, this is a 12-minute shootout now because it's a short qualifying format before we get into the race itself. So there we go. Emerson has said hello, we waved in the chat, and Irvine has said the legend returns. He has returned, says Irvine in the comment section as well. Of course, Irvine, they're looking to usurp the legend, of course, Emerson tonight. I think there might be a few drivers who are going to be a bit surprised about how fast he's going to be, but like I said, he's a bit race rusty, I would imagine, especially not having played the game for, what is it, 7, 8 months now since the game came out. I'm not quite sure how long it's been, but it feels like a long time, doesn't it? We are nearly towards the end of the ALR season, to be fair. We've done, we've only got 7 races left after this one, which would mean we've done, I think it's about 2/3 of the calendar done and dusted already, which is pretty quick indeed, from my opinion. As Collins there puts himself up into P8, I think there's a McLaren behind of Beast, who's just crossed the line there with 20.5. He has improved massively. I don't know if he wanted to try and go again there, but he's managed to cut the first chicane completely. But they're putting himself up into P5, only a tenth of a second behind the golden boy of Emerson. Potstuff there does a 20.0 there, puts himself comfortably into P2, but he's exactly 2 tenths behind the current pole sitter of Fangio. Looking good indeed for the Haas outfit at the moment. One Haas at the top though, one Haas at the bottom there for Irvine. Hopefully Irvine can get himself out of the garage very soon and sort that out, as we've got yellow flags. I think it's for Collins there. Collins is off the circuit. He's on medium compound tyres is the Alfa Romeo, so I'm not quite sure what the strategy is there. Of course, you don't have to start on the tyre that you set your fastest time on in qualifying anymore. You can start on whatever fresh compound you got really in the garage, I should say, so you can do whatever you want really in this one. Serious question of evening all. Who's this Emerson guy? Is he fast? I wouldn't say so. He's gone back out on another outlap, so we're right on board. We've actually got a couple more people driving through. I think we've got VTOD. Is he backed off here? I think VTOD might have I think he might have backed off here as Todd is just coming back into the pit lane. Craig R is out on track. He's done a 21.8 there in the McLaren, puts himself currently in the top 10, just inside the top 10 I should say, and bumping Collins down into P11 there as well. Brabbett there of course done his time on the intermediate compound tyres. A couple of drivers yet to come out of the pit lane just yet, so we'll have to wait and see when they can get themselves sorted and when they can get themselves out of the pits as well. Emerson's car making goat noises, says Equaz in the comments. Hopefully not. Hopefully it's making horse noises, if anything, because it's the prancing horse that he's in tonight, replacing Kamara, who unfortunately couldn't make it for the race tonight. Kamara racer, so hopefully he'll be back for Singapore, which is next week. Of course, we don't have a week break. We don't have a break week next week. Of course, we're going straight into the Singapore Grand Prix in a week's time, and then we've got a break week after that. So we've only got the Italian Grand Prix and the Singapore Grand Prix this short stint before we get on to the one more break week, and then we're on to the final stretch. I think it's 6 races on the bounce, and then we've done and dusted with the calendar, so it's not too long now. Emerson there starting his next flying lap. Let's stay on board. Serious Mushroom said, I thought you were going to sing the ALR Sammy song, said Serious Mushroom. I'm not quite sure what that song is, but hopefully it's not got any rude words in it, so that we can have it in the comment section indeed. But like I said, a few more returning drivers. It's looking nice indeed. Of course, Ayrton will be racing. Mr. Elite is back out on track as well. He is, of course, the first time he's out on track tonight, but he's back on the track there for ALR as well in the Alfa Romeo, reserving for Bradfield, I think it is, who disappeared. But hopefully he can get himself back in for the next race as well. But there we go then. So Emerson now coming round the first lesson, now into the second lesson mode, and now the DRS straight is activated right here. There we go. And now down towards the end of sector 2, towards the Ascari chicane. Of course, a very famous, named after the famous driver of Ascari himself, and he used to drive for Ferrari as well, indeed. So yeah, there we go. Maybe there is an omen there for the red car, as he's invalidated, unfortunately, coming across the exit there of the Ascari chicane. Unfortunately for Emerson, going to have to come back to the pit lane. Let's have a look and see what Mr. Elite is up to, because Mr. Elite, of course, is another returning driver as well, and one of the ALR legends. He's off the circuit somewhere. Where is he? He's disappeared somewhere. I'm not quite sure what's going on. There he is. He's having a bit of trouble there getting through the first chicane, it looks like. So he's having to recover the car and go round again, I think. So I'll have to come back to him as well. Let's have a look and see what Danny's up to. Danny's just starting his lap as well now, of course. Having a good run of form there with Danny. He's got some good points there in the last couple of races as well. I think he can maximise a bit more points as well. Potentially he's got the pace too, as Fangio there improves to a 19.5 there for the Haas outfit. I completely missed that time. I'm very sorry to Fangio. We will come back to Fangio, of course. Hopefully he's got another time for another run later on in this qualifying session as well. Fresh Prince of ALR. Okay, good stuff indeed. And Ayrton's back as well. Yeah, Ayrton, Mr. Elite are back as well. So it's not just Emerson we're looking at. We're looking at all of the new returning drivers, or the old returning drivers, I should say. But yeah, Serious Mushroom will hopefully one day be back in silver as well. And then we can commentate on the ALR GOAT. Of course, he's done over 100 races already for ALR, and we've only begun. I don't know when you joined as well, to be honest. I'll have to check the stats, or I'll have to get Sean to check the stats for you when you joined, when you started racing. It does. Danny has done exactly the same thing there as Emerson there. He's invalidated on the exit of the Ascari chicane. Not good news as Irvine retired. Irvine's had a smash there. Irvine's had a big problem as he's gone around the second Lesbo. Fangio there is right behind his teammate, or was right behind his teammate, but he's had a bit of an issue there getting through there. You can see there on the right hand side there of Dylan's car. The Stricken Haas car is out of this of qualifying session. We're going to be starting P20, unfortunately for Irvine. So one Haas at the top, like I was saying earlier, and one Haas at the top and one Haas, unfortunately, at the bottom of the grid. And at the moment, that is the way it's going to be starting for this race as well. Unfortunate for Irvine there as well. Nigel is out on track. Let's have a look and see what Nigel can do. Of course, the championship leader in silver this season so far. And he's had a bit of a battle there with Fangio as well throughout the season, and I think Equaz has joined the fray as well, but Equaz currently in P6, so let's see what he can do. He's back out on track, is Equaz on another outlap. Let's have a look and see now what Nigel can do there as he comes down towards the Parabolica corner. Season 2 I joined, says Serious Mushroom. I think that would make it with a 20 race season. What's that? 20 races. That's almost 120 races, I think, if you've done all of them. So yeah, not looking too bad. There's Nigel puts himself up into P2. He is a tenth behind his rival of Fangio there, but he puts himself on the front row of the grid as it stands at the moment there for Nigel. Good stuff indeed. Not too shabby at all, as here goes Equaz there. Equaz looking to improve there on 20.4. I think he's capable of doing that as well. Emerson's back out on track as well to start his next flying lap in anger. He's got his teammate right behind him, or ahead of him on track, but right behind him in terms of the classification so far by a 1/10.5 of a second. But there's more activity going on as well. We've got, as Vitold is off the circuit, he's had a spin there at the exit of Delarondo chicane. You can just see the car there trying to get himself back on track. And I think he's got himself beat on the curve there as well. He needs to reset the track. So he needs to reset the track there, Vitold. There we go, he has done now, thankfully. Good stuff indeed. Season 3 says ALR Esports. Good stuff indeed. Fangio retired from the session. He's in the pit lane. He's called it a day, has Fangio. He decided that that was enough. So he's only 10th ahead of Nigel at the moment. 2/10 or 2.5 tenths ahead of Dylan. I'm not quite sure if that's going to be enough for Fangio to hold on to that pole position. We might see a few changes here. Here comes Emerson now down towards the Ascari chicane once again, finishing off sector 2. He's up by 4/10 of a second almost, which is going to put him within the realms of pot stuff there at P4, not too far away there from the top 3 steps, or potentially even the front row as well. We'll have to find out now as he comes down towards the Parabolica corner once again. The final turn, the famous turn of course of the Monza circuit. And now around the final corner we go, going very close indeed to the curb there on the exit, putting the power down as early as you can without spinning the car up to the line. It's P3, and it's a 19.796 there for Emerson. Good stuff indeed from the Ferrari driver, the reserve Ferrari driver tonight. They're looking good indeed for Emerson as well. He's going straight on there from the first chicane. I think he might have time to get himself back round. It depends obviously on the traffic ahead of him though. I think Collins is the driver on the circuit ahead, but he's on a lap there is Collins. So looking to get himself round through the Delarondo chicane himself as well as he comes round now through the chicane. Very nicely done indeed. Not going on the gravel on the exit of that curb because that is very treacherous indeed as well. But he's managed to negotiate it very nicely indeed, looking to improve on a 22.689. Let's have a look now as he comes round the second lesmo, almost losing the car there. We saw where Irvine lost it there as well. He almost did the same thing I think, but he's managed to control the car and keep it out of that wall and keep it on the grey stuff indeed for the time being, that is. As now heading towards Ascari, he's going to have to try and get this right as well. Making sure, oh, he's spun on the curb there, you can see off into the wall, and I think that might be him out of the session there. Collins out of the session there. We just saw him retire there as he's spun off there at the exit of the Ascari chicane. Farf has put himself up into P10 with a 20.5 there. Farf there into the top 10 as it stands at the moment. Danny starting a lap there. Mr. Elite is also starting a lap. Smithy is on track as well, coming through the first lesmo, but there a big smash for Collins there. Unfortunately for Collins, he's not going to be able to improve on a 22.689, and I think that might demote him at least three places to Danny, Mr. Elite and Smithy as well. Smithy going a bit slowly there on his lap though. He needs to make sure that he gets out of the way of Craig R, who's coming down the same straight, heading towards the Ascari chicane at the end of sector 2 as well. Craig R looking to improve there on 21.8. Can he get himself in the top 10 where he was on his first run, or after his first run I should say. Coming through Ascari, that's very nice indeed. It looks very smooth there from the McLaren driver indeed. Very good stuff. Harry has said, what do we want tonight? P1, P2, P3 or P4 says Fangio, I think that is. So yeah, I'm not quite sure. Hopefully Fangio can carry on from his pole position and get himself another race win. Here comes Craig R, then up to the line. They've got somebody coming into the pit lane as well. Up to the line goes Craig. He's improved by almost half a second here, but he's not been able to improve position unfortunately. Smithy's done a 29.9, and that is not good enough there to improve or beat Collins' time. Unfortunately Craig R stays P13 there with a 21.2, but he did improve by almost I think it was almost 6 tenths there. It was quite a big jump up in speed, but unfortunately not enough at this stage of the qualifying, unfortunately for him. Danny there coming around the Parabolica. What can Danny do as he's looking to improve? We're looking to set his first time on the board. Up to the line there, it's 20.4 there, puts himself P10 there. Both the Mercedes there in the top 10 as it stands at the moment. Good stuff from both the Mercedes drivers as well. All the goats are back, says Styles in the comment section as well. Yes, they are. It seems like they are anyway. So we'll have to wait and see how they're going to do in the race. Of course, Mr. Elite there hasn't set a time just yet. Hopefully he can get one time on the board as he goes through Ascari now. He's got the entry right there. Let's see what he can do on the exit. It's very nice and smooth as well as we go on board now down the back straight towards the Parabolica corner. Let's see what time it's going to be there from Mr. Elite there, looking to get his first time, I think his only time as well on the board here in the Monza qualifying session. Always goes round the Parabolica. There's a spin there unfortunately for the Alfa Romeo. That is him done and dusted in qualifying I think, because he's not going to be able to recover the car. I'm not sure what he's trying to do there. He's trying to spin the car around, but he's now got in the way of Craig R. I think he's coming around to finish off yet another lap. No, he's got enough fuel on board. I think Craig has got to go again in this session. I think Mr. Elite there is going to run out of VRS potentially. He has done a time there of 36.4, which puts himself into P17 ahead of Ayrton, Dan Murphy and Irvine, who have yet to set a time. So he has been able to get himself on the board. But hopefully he can at least get himself around to maybe improve on that by a few tenths of a second. Fingers crossed. Elsewhere, I think Emerson just starting another lap there as well. The Red Bull pot stuff, they're starting another lap too. Here comes Brabbit, who's just coming round into the Curva Grande in towards the Della Roger chicane. But we've now got, I think, Danny there just starting another lap, but I don't think he's going to have enough fuel on board to get himself to the finish line. Unfortunately for him, Smithy is getting out of the way there of the Haas there. No, it's not a Haas, because there's no Haas left in the qualifying, unfortunately. Irvine has retired in P20 and Fanjo's retired in the pit lane as well in P1. So I'm not quite sure who that was. I'll have to come back to that one. Here comes Reflection round the final corner. He has not been able to improve. He's going to be coming into the pit lane. It is done and dusted there for Beast. Dopey Lemons there in P6 and 7 respectively. Farf in V Todd in P11 and 12 as it stands. Let's have a look and see what Craig R can do. He's going to be the next to cross the line as he comes down towards the Parabolica corner once again. I don't think he's going to be able to improve. Unfortunately, that ERS is already getting pretty too low there for this lap. He might be able to improve just by a few tenths or so. Up to the line, it's going to be a 21.3. Keeps himself P15 for the time being. Unfortunately for him, Mr. Elite does improve to 22.4, but I think again same sort of situation. He had didn't have much left in the tank there to get himself across the line at the end there. Nigel was finished there in P2, so it looks like Fanjo at the moment is safe unless Dylan can put himself up on the up the time boards. Same for Emerson as well, but I think Emerson, they're just moving out of the way. He's invalidated, unfortunately. Here comes Dylan as we can see him coming down towards Parabolica now. Let's see what Dylan can do, and can he improve? Can he take that pole position spot away from the current pole sitter Fanjo and Nigel as well on the front row? He's up to the line, but he doesn't improve. Unfortunately, Emerson is back in the pit lane, and I think that is qualifying done and dusted. It's been a bit of an epic shootout so far in this qualifying, but nonetheless, what a show. We'll hopefully have more of the same in the race. We've just got to make sure everyone takes it easy, I should say, into the first few chicanes. But there we go, qualifying is done and dusted. What a qualifying it was indeed. And yeah, there we go. All the goats are back, like Goku is saying in the comment section as well. Good stuff indeed from all the drivers who have put themselves a time on the board. But there we go. We'll come back to the classification as we've got Nigel there on the cool down lap. But we'll come back to the classification there in just a moment. Then when we've got that on the screen for the qualifying here in Monza as well, and looking forward to seeing what we're going to get in the race, as well as Fandra there in P1 locked out the P1 position quite early on in the qualifying as well, and then decided that he didn't want to come back out, so he's going to retire in the pit lane. Nigel there in P2, the championship leader there is going to be on the front row, but he's not going to be in the prime spot. Dylan there in P3 as well, good qualifying there from Dylan as well. Emerson there reserving, of course, for Camaro in P4. Pot Stuff in P5, Brabbit in P6, Ultimate Beast there in P7, Dopey Lemons in P8, Equaz down in P9. Unfortunately for Equaz, looking to improve there. He didn't actually improve on his 20.4 indeed at all. Danny there in P10, just inside the points there. Farf in 11th, V Todd in 12th, Reflection P13, Smithy in P14, Craig R P15, Mr. Elite in P16, Collins in P17. Unfortunately, Ayrton, Dan Murphy and Irvine didn't get a time in. Like I said, he's been blocked on his lap. Unfortunately, that's why he couldn't improve. Hopefully, he can improve in the race. We'll have to find out as well as we get into the race itself. Like I said, nice and sunny here in Monza. Usually, like I said, for Silver, we have a nice wet race. But it's looking a-okay for tonight's race at the moment. Anyway, it's nice and sunny here in the Italian, in the north. It's North Italy, isn't it? So yeah, here in North Italy, it's looking very nice and nice and sunny for the time being. So yeah, so there we go. So we're looking forward to seeing a nice dry race here in Silver for a change, because like I said, for some whatever reason, we seem to usually have at least part rain in the Silver races, but thankfully for the tonight, it's going to be nice and dry, it looks like anyway. So good stuff indeed. We'll be looking to get cracking just in a few moments now. Right then, formation lap underway. We'll have a look quickly at the compound of tyres that we've got the drivers on. We don't want that one, we want that one. There we go. We'll start from the back of the grid. We've got a combination here of hards and medium compounds. So Irvine there starting from P20 on the hard compound tyres. Unfortunately, didn't get a time in there on in qualifying because he had a bit of a spin there at the second Lesmo, and that sent him into the wall. We saw, I think it was Collins there, almost have the same issue there on his qualifying lap. He's going to be starting to further up the order. Dan Murphy there didn't get a time on the board either, I should say. He's got the hard compound tyres though on the Aston Martin. And then we've got Ayrton there starting in the Alpine. We've got a Ferrari off the circuit. I'm not sure who that is, but we'll come back to that as Todd has been disqualified for... I'm not quite sure what Todd's been disqualified for there. A bit of an odd one, that. But nonetheless, as Ayrton there is in P18 there on the medium compound tyres in the Alpine. Collins on the hards in the Alfa Romeo, the second Alfa Romeo of Mr. Elite is on the medium compound tyres. They're starting just ahead of his teammate, looking to get a faster first stint in. Craig Art in P15 on the medium compound tyres. Smithy in P14 on the mediums as well, as is Reflection P13. Todd is on the mediums, but he's not been able to take part in this formation lap. Far just outside the points, starting on the hard compound tyres there in P11. Then into the top 10, we've got Danny on the mediums in P10 in the Mercedes. Ekwaz, like I said, he was blocked in quali, starting on the hards in P9. Dopey Lemons on the hards as well in P8. Beast on the medium compound tyres, almost to the soft compound tyres there. That's a bit of a strategy call indeed, if you were going to do that. But no, on the medium compound tyres there for Beast in P7. Brabbit on the hards in P6. Pot Stuff in P5 on the medium compound tyres. Emerson there are reserve debutants, or returning debutant, in P4 there on the medium compound tyres, as is Dylan there on P3. He's going to be sending the second row alike there, both these drivers on the medium compound tyres. Nigel there in P2 on the front row of the grid. He's on the hard compound tyres, the only one in the top 5 on the hards, and Fangio there on the medium compound tyres, just lining up in P1 on the grid, your pole sitter in the Haas. Serious Mushroom is unhappy with the sun. He's not used to watching silver races without a bit of rain, but at the moment it's all sunny here in Monza, for the time being at least anyway. So we're ready to get going, I think. I can't see what's going. I think, no, we've got some people parking up still. That's the reason why we're not ready to go just yet. So Irvine there has got himself parked up. We should see the lights come on very soon, hopefully. Need to get a better angle of this. The lights are coming on here in Monza. The 5 red lights are on here in Italy, and the 5 red lights are off, and away we go for the Monza Grand Prix, the Italian Grand Prix. Nigel gets a good start there. Fangio really struggling there off that start into P1. He does Nigel down the inside into turn 1. That is a great start indeed there on the hard compound tyres as well. Ekwaz and Brabbit are switching places as well. Ekwaz up into P6 already, P7 now, dropping down the order is Nigel and Fangio. Emerson is fighting for P3 with Dylan alongside him in the Williams there, looking to go around the curve, Grande around the outside towards the Della Roger chicane. Nigel conceded the lead there back to Fangio. Fangio's got a better second phase of the start there, I think. He's got himself back up into P1. Emerson going to go down the outside there of Dylan there into the Della Roger chicane. That's going to be very iffy indeed, and Dylan there switches back with a great move indeed as well to get himself back up into P3. Emerson has to slot in behind Beast up into P5. We'll have a look at the position changes because I completely missed that. Beast up 2 places, Ekwaz up 3 places as well. Rabbit dropping down 3 places. Unfortunately, Rabbit Father's gained some places as well. There's quite a lot of position changes down the back of the field, not anything in the top 4 so far, but look at that, great stuff indeed, a great start indeed, as Nigel was battling away with Fangio into the Ascari chicane. It's going to be close indeed. Nigel goes off the circuit there, I think, and he's had to concede once again there to Fangio. Fangio wasn't going to be letting him through anytime soon there. Now here comes Dylan down at the back straight towards the Parabolica, and I think Dylan's going to make the move as well. It's going to be 3 wide, is it? Almost, no, not quite. Looked like it was going to be 3 wide at one point. Nigel's gone wide there. Nigel's had an issue there. Beast has gone through as well. Nigel dropping down the order, but I think the drivers ahead of him now are on the medium compound tyres. It's not too bad yet for Nigel, but he will be disappointed that he's let Emerson and Beast through as well. Dylan there was battling tooth and nail to get that P2 position there into the Parabolica corner, and he's got the move done. Nice and easy. I think in the end it wasn't too bad. I think Nigel had an issue there at the Ascari chicane. Now getting himself recovered there back into P5, but he dropped down 3 positions now as Nigel, the championship leader. Go Ekwaz there, it says, so is Quintin in the comment section as well. Emerson has been overtaken there by Beast down towards the Della Roger chicane. Once again, the Beast has got himself up into the podium places already. Good stuff indeed. Around the Della Roger chicane, though, it's going to be quite a difficult place to get himself through. Emerson has got back that place already. He's already got himself through. Mr. Elite's left the session. Not quite sure what's happened to him there. Ayrton's off the circuit. I think Ayrton's had an issue. He's had a problem there. Ends up in the P16 though. He's gained places as Todd has lost out massively. Unfortunately, same for Smithy as well. Unfortunately, but Ayrton there has just had a bit of an issue. I think on the Della Roger exit, he's got himself back underway is shaping up nicely, said Serious Rush from Dylan there. He's almost out of DRS range there of Fangio there. He needs to stay within that 1 second window there. The DRS will be enabled now on lap 3 when they cross the start-finish line around this next corner. But he needs to stay within that 1 second window. Emerson there is just slotting him into P3 at the moment. Beast into P4. Nigel there's going to stay with these guys on the hard compound tyres in P5. But Ekmaz up in 3 places, is back up into P6 there with a great start indeed on the hard compound tyres as well. So he's going to be going long in the first stint. Here comes Nigel trying to get himself back past Beast. He's going to go down the inside towards turn 1. Let's have a look and see how it's going to be for the championship leader and the challenger from McLaren. Into turn 1 we go. Nigel's got the move done and dusted. I think he's got the move done and dusted anyway. He is up into P4. Nigel and far from Potstaff, Dopey Lemons and Brabbit all switching places as well as they go into the first chicane. Looks like the first chicane is going to be an overtaking zone for tonight's race indeed, as we've seen some moves already. Far from Potstaff switching places again. Not quite sure what's happening there. Dopey Lemons might try and capitalise here into the Delarosa chicane. No, he's too far back on Farf to make the move. Oh, Farf's been tapped there as well as there's contact. Beast is off the circuit. Beast is off the circuit at the exit of the Delarosa chicane. Here comes Brabbit through. He's down into P10. There's Beast, unfortunately for him. Danny might make a move as well. DRS, like I said, is now available. Dylan's dropped down that DRS zone already on lap 3. He's already got the gap there. 1.2 seconds has Fangio there to keep the Williams out of distance. They're out of range of the DRS detection zone, and that is going to be good news for Fangio if he can keep that gap, because that will mean he's got a bit of protection there from the overtake there from the Williams car. Emerson there in P3 looking to get a move there on Dylan potentially. Let's have a look and see if there's going to be anything moving, any moves made down the back straight. No moves made just yet into Parabolica. We go down around the exit. I think Dylan might be within DRS range. Is he within DRS range of the Haas? He is just about. That is great news indeed, as Emerson sets the fastest lap of the race, 1:23.0 on lap 3. Good stuff indeed there from Emerson, looking good indeed in this race. Nigel there is unfortunately dropped off the back. Mr. Elite is back in the session thankfully, but he's dropped down to the back of the grid so far. Brabbit there up into P8. He's got past Dopey Lemons there into turn 1. Before turn 1 into the braking zone, he's got the move done into P8. There he goes, and now trying to get himself after Farf. He's down 2 places. Is Brabbit, of course, starting on the hard compound tyres. I think some of the medium runners have got a bit of a better jump there on the likes of Brabbit and the others on the hard compound tyres. We'll have a look at the strategies here. There we go. We can see Nigel, Ekmaz, Farf, Brabbit and Dopey Lemons on the hard compound tyres in the top 10. And there's others on the mediums who are going to be much faster at this stage of the race. But of course their tyres will drop off very much earlier than the hard compound runners, so we'll have to wait and see who's going to be on the best strategy around here. I would hope to hazard a guess, as Mr. Elite has left the session once again. I'm not quite sure what's going on there for Mr. Elite. Hopefully he can get himself back in and back in his car. But like I said, I would hope to hazard a guess that the hard to medium strategy would be the fastest. But that is my personal opinion, and I'm probably wrong. Mo closing in says Serious Mushroom in the comment section, but Dylan has also closed in as well. Yellow flags in the background. Yellow flags for Smithy off the circuit, and there's an Alpine off the circuit as well as Mr. Elite. No, it's not. Is Ayrton, unfortunately. As Emerson's off the circuit also. Emerson's had a problem there at Parabolica. He's dropping down the order. Unfortunately for Emerson, no wing damage thankfully for the Ferrari, but he's having to get himself back underway down to P15. Unfortunately for the Ferrari driver, not a good start for this. Well, we had a good start there for the race. Unfortunately, I should say. Bradley's got himself past Farf there up into P6 for the Mercedes driver. But like I said, unfortunately, a bad exit, a bad shape on that corner. Unfortunately for Emerson, he's dropped down to P15. Let's see what he can do. Can he get himself back up the order? He is still on the medium compound tyres. He's going to be quite quick at this stage of the race. Let's have a look and see what he can do. Mr. Elite and Ayrton and Smithy, so I should say, recovering there after their spins at Ascari as well. A bit of a shame there, unfortunately, for those two drivers, but they managed to get themselves back underway at least, which is good news indeed. Nigel's dropped off the back. He's got himself past. I think he might have been involved there with Emo potentially. He's lost 2 seconds now to the top 2, and obviously Emerson was in between Nigel and Dylan at that stage. I'm not quite sure. Maybe he was put off there by the spinning Ferrari. Unfortunately for Nigel, that's cost him the DRS there to the top 2, which will be they'll be very glad indeed with Dylan and Fangio. They won't have to see Nigel there breathing down their necks for the next few laps. But I think, like I said, when the strategy does come into favour there for the hard compound runners, they will see Nigel catch up very quickly indeed. Dopey Lemon's trying to get past Farf now down towards the parabolic corner as well. Around the outside goes Farf. He's trying to hold it around the outside there in the AlphaTauri. Looks like he's done it very nicely done indeed. I think which one of the drivers will have DRS, though we'll have to both of them have got DRS anyway, it doesn't matter. Dopey Lemons, I think, keeps hold of that P7 there thanks to that as well. And now in towards turn 1 we go, and far has to back out of that one. There we go. That is Dopalons up into P7 there. Good stuff indeed. Brabbit trying to close down on Pot Stuff, who's in a bit of bit of nowhere at the moment. He's 2.7 seconds behind Ekbaz, the top 4 at the moment, and he's got Brabbit there trying to catch up to that 1 second winner. Smithy's in the pit lane. Mr. Elite has been passed once again by his teammate of Collins there, but I think Mr. Elite is not in his car still, unfortunately for him. Dan Murphy, Mr. Elite's just joined back into the but like I said, Dan Murphy is now going to be under pressure. I think he's going to trying to put himself along there with Craig R, Irvine and Dan Murphy in that train behind Reflection. But Emerson now is trying to catch up to this queue as well to get himself within the DRS range. He's not too far away. He's only a tenth or so of a second behind now, and trying to get himself back in this fray. VTOD dropping down the order. I think he had a bit of a difficult start with VTOD, but he's got himself back underway into P16 there. Hopefully, like I said, he can get himself back up the order as well in this race. We'll see what VTOD and Emerson do in the Ferrari outfit, trying to get themselves some good points there in this race. Hopefully, it will come back to them later on. Out in front there, Will Dillon make the move there for the lead of this race very soon. We've got yellow flags for Collins. Collins at the exit of the Ascara chicane is off the circuit once again. He's trying to get himself back underway, or is he? I'm not quite sure what he's trying to do, to be honest. He has got himself back underway as Mr. Elite has left the session once again, so I'm not quite sure what is going on with Mr. Elite's internet. He seems to be having issues trying to get himself back in the car, but he's not having issues with the internet. I don't think it's because he's got himself back in the session a few times, but I'm not quite sure what he's trying to get himself back in the car. He just needs to click ready up, and that will be that really. But there we go. Unfortunately, he seems to be having trouble there getting himself back in the car. If anybody can tell him in Discord, just click ready up and it will get you back in the car. I think that's probably what he's struggling with. Irvine and Craig are battling away. Oh, into the De La Rocha chicane. There's a McLaren off the circuit there. Craig are off the circuit. Dan Murphy's gone through, as has Emerson as well. Craig are there being a bit, I don't know if it was nerfed off there by Irvine. I'm not quite sure. We'll have to find out. Yeah, maybe a bit of elbows out there between the Haas and the McLaren drivers, but Craig Ard thankfully no damage there for the McLaren. He can carry on in this race and try and get himself back up the order. Unfortunately, Craig Ard there, but now Irvine there takes up P12. He's got Dan Murphy there in P13 right behind him. Far picks up the first penalty of the evening, and that is on lap 7 there. The first driver to pick up a 3-second penalty there for Farf. Unfortunately for Farf, we've seen him get penalties in plenty of other seasons and plenty of other races, and he is the first one here in Monza tonight as well. Justice for Farfs. So I think that might be because of the penalty popping up there as well. So Serious Mushroom said that in the comment section as well. Good stuff indeed. Dylan there still trying to chase down Fanjo for the lead of this race. They've dropped Nigel now by almost 3 seconds, these two, and looking to extend their gap as much as they can on the medium compound tire. Collins picked up the next penalty, unfortunately, coming through the Ascari chicane there for the Alfa Romeo. But it was, of course, as Collins is off the circuit once again. He's got wing damage there. That right end plate is missing there on the Alfa Romeo, unfortunately for Collins. He needs to get himself back to the pit lane to sort that out and get that fixed as soon as he can. But hopefully he can do that. Around Parabolica and then into the pit lane as fast as he can, and that'll be a wing change there sorted for the Alfa Romeo outfit. But like I said, Dylan there is trying to chase down Vander. I think Vander's got the just enough pace at the moment to keep that gap just about at arm's length, to be honest, so that he can, of course, try and keep the gap as far away as possible for Dylan not to be able to attack there into turn 1 as Collins has got to the pit lane, but he's unfortunately quit in the pit lane, which I think is at least it's fair enough. He was having a bit of a torrid race, to be fair. The Ultimate Beast picks up another penalty. That is the third penalty of the night, if you count Collins' penalty, of course, but he's now DNF'd there, so he's not going to be taking part anymore in this race, unfortunately. Yellow flags, I think it's just for the Alfa Romeo there on the pit lane straight there, just been cleared up now as well. Good stuff indeed. Ultimate Beast now trying to get himself past Farf there on the medium compound tyres. Let's see if he can make a move down the main straight, I should say, down the Parabolica. I don't think this is the Parabolica, but there we go. Now into, we've got yellow flags again, once again in sector 3. V Todd and Craig R. Craig R's had an issue, I think, there in the Parabolica corner swim. We saw Emerson have a problem there as well. Beast and Far back the way side by side through the first chicane. Beast has got himself through there on the medium compound tyres. He's up into P8 now, is Beast, after a recovering drive, I should say, as Far there going off the circuit much there. You see Beast trying to cover the inside there of the De La Rocha chicane. He's made the move, he's got the move, and he's up into P8 there for the McLaren driver. Far there sliding over the curbs there. That's something good news for the car or for the tyres themselves, but he's carried on in P9 for the time being. Reflections now catching up to the back of these guys as Danny is coming with them as well. Collins left the session, unfortunately. Collins not a good race then from tonight. Hopefully tomorrow night in bronze he can have a better race, of course. I think he's reserving tomorrow night as well, as I've just hit myself in the face. Collins has just said he had a rear wing damage, so that is fair enough. Like I said, they'll get the footage in and we'll sort that out. But there's no issues there. If you've got rear wing damage, of course, there is no problem why. That is one of the various reasons why you can retire, because like I said, trying to drive with rear wing damage is a nightmare. I tried doing it around Singapore the other day. It was a nightmare indeed, and I basically just had to crawl around and try and keep myself from spinning out in the walls. But there we go. But Dylan now up into like I said, P2. Well, he's been in P2 for quite a while, but to be fair, but he's still been able to just sit behind the Haas of Fandra for the time being. Nigel is now 3.4 seconds behind these two, but we're not quite sure when the crossover point is going to be, because I think, like I said, we might see medium start to drop off in the next 4 or 5 laps or so. Equaz there on medium compound tyres is now keeping Nigel company as well there on the hard compound tyres. So they're both these two now on the hards, looking to go a bit longer than the two ahead of them as well. So we'll have to wait and see who's going to come out on top in terms of the strategy being whichever one can be the favoured strategy, that is. Of course, the hard compound tyres take an age to warm up on this game, don't they? So we might see a few struggles there on the opening out lap there for the Haas and for the Williams there. And not so much for Nigel and Equaz in P3 and P4 currently. They're on the hards. When they go onto the medium compound tyres, we'll have to find out further down the order, I should say. Rabbit's got himself back up into P6 where he started. He's now right behind Potstuff, who's on the medium compound tyres. Like I said, Potstuff had a bit of a lonely race. Oh, off the circuit goes Potstuff. He's had an issue there at the exit of the Ascara chicane there. Right behind him now is Rabbit, trying to go down the inside as he into the Parabolica. No, he's going to be all over the back of the Red Bull there into the Parabolica corner, but no moves being made just yet. He's going to have the DRS there down the main straight. I'm not quite sure if Equaz had an issue there coming out of the Ascara. He might have looked like he lost the car, didn't it? But he's now trying to get himself back away, as far away from Rabbit as possible. Here comes the Mercedes there with the DRS though, and now down towards turn 1 we go, into turn 1, into the braking zone. I think it's too far back there for Rabbit to make any move. Potstuff has held the gap just about to keep himself in that P5 position. Good stuff indeed for Potstuff, recovering from that incident there. Irvine's been passed there by Emerson. Up into P12 goes the Ferrari driver there, looking to recover, like I said, after his spin in the Parabolica corner. He's got himself back up into P12, and now going to try and chase down Danny as well for that P11 position as well, get himself further up into the point playing position potentially. We'll find out. Mr. Elite has been passed by Ayrton. Mr. Elite is still not in the car, unfortunately. Like I said, I'm not quite sure what is going on with Mr. Elite. He was in and out of the session, and then he's just disappeared completely, I think. Hopefully he can at least get himself back in the car and can get himself onto a new set of boots as well. I think that's probably what he'll need, and then he'll get himself on the hard combat tyres to the end of the race. But there we go. Far picks up another penalty. That is 6 seconds of penalties now for the AlphaTauri driver in P9, which is not good news there for his finishing position. Currently, he'd be dropping out behind, I think, all the way down behind Dan Murphy at the moment with that 6 seconds. Into the pit lane goes Fandro. Fandro there from the lead of the race is making the early call there. He's decided to come into the pits there from the lead of this Grand Prix. Very early on there, on lap 12, very early on compared to the rest of the drivers. Potstuff has followed him in though, actually. Potstuff in the Red Bull is coming in as well. So there's a bit of an early strategy call here. This might trigger some pit stops here as well. We'll have to wait and see. The medium runners there are going to come into the pit lane now in the next lap or so. Potstuff coming out of the pit lane also is going to be behind, or Craig Orr in the pits as well. So there's a bit more pit activity than I expected. But Fandro, they're coming out in P14. He's going to be about 3.5 seconds behind V Todd. Potstuff coming out in P15. He's got a bit of clear air between himself and Fandro, but of course he did have some drivers in between them on the previous lap. So let's have a look and see what the rest of the field are going to do. Craig R coming out in P18 now. He's going to be just slotting himself out into P18 on the hard compound tyres as well. So onto the hards go 3 more drivers. Now we're going to have to see, will the rest of the medium runners start to pit as well, or will they stay out and try and do a bit more, try and do an overcut in this race? We'll have to find out. Let's see what pace Dylan's got now. Can he use some of the ERS? Potentially he saved up a lot of the ERS there behind Fandro that he can now start to dispense as he goes now down towards Parabolica. Will he come in the pit lane, or will he stay out another lap to go a bit further, then have fresher tyres there towards the end of the race on the hard compound tyres? No, he's coming into the pit lane. He's going to do the same as was very late on the brakes there, but he's managed to stop the car just in time there at the pit entry line. Equaz and Nigel carry on, of course, on the hard compound tyres. I think Rabbit has set the fastest lap there. Rabbit, good stuff indeed there. Rabbit up into P3 now. Though P11's carries on as well as Farf. Beast has also carried on as well on the medium compound tyres, but Dylan onto the hard compound tyres, I should say, is going to be passed there by Irvine and Dan Murphy. Here comes Reflection in the pit, sorry, as well. Here comes Fanjo. Fanjo is going to pick back the lead, is he? Or is going to be close indeed. There is Dylan. He's out ahead. Is Dylan, but I think, like I said, the tyre warm-up might come back into Fanjo's favour. He's had one extra lap there on those hard compound tyres. Dylan there goes, it was very close indeed between the two race leaders, and Fanjo takes back the lead there, but Dylan always looked like he had the lead in the bag there, but unfortunately, I think, as I said, the tyre warm-up on those hard compound tyres is so difficult that it's cost him the actual lead into turn 1 there, but he had the lead on track for a few metres at least. But now Dylan there having to slot in behind the returning race leader, or the net race leader, I should say, of Fanjo there at the moment in time. But I think he's lost out. Has he lost out to DRS there on Fanjo there? He has as well. Fanjo there have got himself ahead by 1.3 seconds now. That means that Dylan, of course, with that tyre warm-up, once it has warmed up a bit, he'll be able to get the power back down a bit, and he can try and get himself back within DRS range. But Fanjo there is, like I said, 1.2 seconds the gap between Dylan and Fanjo for the time being. That is out of DRS range there for the Haas driver. Farf is in the ultimate piece there in the pit lane from P5. So on another medium runner there coming in right now. Let's have a look and see where he's going to come out as well. I think Mr. Elite is the only driver left on the medium compound tyres, but of course he's not in his car. So unfortunately, technically we've got everybody who is running in this race on the hard compound tyres. But there we go. Beast now out of the pit lane. Let's see where he can slot in. I think it's going to be right between the two Red Bulls here, isn't he? As here he comes now down the main straight. But Potstuff, of course, has got a lot more speed, and those tyres warmed up to maximum temperature. Into turn 1 we go, and Beast there is slotting in behind Potstuff, just outside the points paying positions as it stands at the moment. But of course, there is still many drivers yet to pit. The top 7 yet to pit as well in this race, as well as Mr. Elite, who now his AI car is now in the pit lane as well. So the top 7 yet to pit. Everybody else below, from Fanjo downwards, has made a pit stop now, so they can go to the end of this race. Serious Metal said, geez, Farf. I'm not quite sure what Farf was doing, but hopefully it wasn't too bad. He seems to be okay. Everybody else seems to be okay around him as well. Dopey Lemons there is going to be, I think he's going to be, yellow flags. Yellow flags for Irvine. Irvine's off the circuit there at Ascari. He's had a problem. Has the Haas driver. He's got been passed there by Dan Murphy, and now his teammate and Dylan as well. He's got himself back underway, thankfully, but I'm not quite sure what happened to Irvine there. Looked like he had a bit of a spin there at the exit of the Ascari chicane. Unfortunately there for the Haas driver. Farf is in the pit lane. So Farf calling it very early indeed from the hard compound tyres and switching the opposite way onto the medium compound tyres. So let's have a look and see if this is going to work out for Farf. He's going to have to try and get the pace on, because of course he has 6 seconds of time penalties that we added on to his race at the end of the race. When he's finished, wherever he finishes, he'll be added 6, whatever time he finishes on, that is, he'll be added 6 seconds to that time. He's going to be coming out ahead of Potstuff. No, Fanjo, not Fanjo, Beast and Potstuff have gone through. Beast trying to make a move into turn 1, but no moves being made just yet. Emerson's come through on the hard compound tyres to set the fastest lap of the race there on lap 14, and he's in P13 at the moment. Of course, like I said, there's a lot of drivers ahead of him yet to pit as well. So if you're trying to get the undercut on these drivers, of course those tyres now are nice and warmed up on the Ferrari, and he can try and get a few more lap times in like that, and that will of course negate the gap that he lost as well to the drivers who are the likes of Dan Murphy, Dopey Lemons, Brabbit, Ekwaz and Nigel, who are yet to pit in this race. Irvine as well yet to pit. Unfortunately, we saw him have a bit of a spin there at the exit of the Ascari chicane, but he's still running comfortably in P8 for the time being. And of course, if he's switching onto the faster tyre, he can potentially get himself back in the top 10 positions as well. We'll have to wait and see. Farf is the only driver now who has switched from hards onto the medium compound tyres, and now trying to get himself back after Beast. Into the pit goes Nigel from the lead of the race. He was leading the race, wasn't he? But Fanjo, of course, is the net race leader, having made his pit stop already. Let's have a look and see where the championship leader is going to come out of the pit lane. Danny's got a 3-second penalty there. Unfortunately for Danny, there he's down in P14 for the time being, but of course having made his stop as well. But I'm not quite sure what's going to be happening there for Danny. Hopefully he can get himself back underway. Dylan and Fanjo have gone through here, but Nigel, they're coming back out in P3. It looks like Beast has got himself the fastest lap. Here comes Brabbit, here comes Beast and Potstuff as well. Brabbit coming out the pit lane there. You can see he's in the background there, the McLaren and the Red Bull here, but into turn 1 it's Brabbit who takes P7 there at the moment. Anyway, looks like Beast is going to be all over the back of him now, going around Curva Grande. Beast putting the pressure on here. The McLaren there getting close and closer and closer into the chicane. We're going to go side by side, I think, here. Brabham's going to try and hold on to this position, I think, as well. Oh, it's deep on the brakes indeed, but they both managed to make it through without any contact. Thankfully, it was a great move indeed from the Mercedes and the McLaren there to make sure that they didn't have any contact. But now, Brabham's gone wide. Here comes Beast there once again into the second Lesmo. I think he's going to be looking to try and make a move now down at the next straight. DRS, of course, will be available for the McLaren driver. And there we go, down the straight we go. Here we go. Is there going to be any moves made? The red light flashing on the back of that McLaren already. No moves being made into Ascari, unfortunately, for Beast there. He's going to have to sit behind, but potentially that is a good idea because now he'll have a better exit onto the next back straight, and of course towards around Parabolica and then down the main straight. Of course, with DRS assistance once again, Brabham might be in a bit of peril here. On medium compound tyres goes Equaz. Where's he going to come out compared to Nigel? Nigel, of course, was right ahead of him, just ahead of him, I should say. Ayrton's retired from the pit on the straight. That is a yellow flag. That is a safety car, I think. Safety car has been called out. That is a safety car indeed, as Equaz comes out in the pits behind Nigel by a second. Brabham up into P7. Yellow flags as we've got, I'm not quite sure what's going on here. Brabham and Dopey Lemons there battling away, and now there's more position changes as well. But what they need to realise is that there's a safety car on track caused by Ayrton's accident there. Unfortunately, Irvine is back in the pit lane, as is Emerson, as is Danny, as is V. Todd and Craig R. Smithy Alrighty will be able to catch up to the back of the queue here as well, which is good news indeed for Smithy Almighty. But like I said, the safety car is out on track there for the stricken Alpine, who has I think it was here at the second Lesmo that there was a spin there for the Alpine. He's been cleared away already, so we should be able to get ourselves back underway, to be honest. But there we go. But I think, to be honest, there's not much point indeed for the likes of Fanjo, Dylan there of coming back in the pit lane. There's not enough of a gap, I don't think, unless they want to gamble and then go on to the soft compound tyres potentially. We'll have to wait and see what they're going to do. And like I said, there's going to be 9 laps of racing once we get the safety car back underway. We get the green flag running back underway. So yeah, I'm not quite sure what the best strategy will be from here, but we'll have to find out now as Smithy and White has got himself in the pit lane, and he has, of course, carried on now in this race. So that is bad news, unfortunately, there for the likes of Fanjo and Dylan. I think on the hard compound tyres. Same for Beast, Pot Stuff, and Reflection. But they're on young hard compound tyres, so it's not going to be too bad, hopefully, for those drivers. And they're going to be catching up to the safety car queue now. Pot Stuff is back in the pit lane, as is Reflection as well. So both of these drivers are going to have to double stack there for the Red Bull outfit, unfortunately, which is not good news. But hopefully it'll be a quick one for the Red Bull team, and they can get themselves in and out there as soon as they can. Pot Stuff will only lose one place, actually. To be fair, I don't know if a Reflection will lose much positions. Either will lose one position as well there to Irvine. Irvine back in the points, I must say. But I think both the Rebels can get themselves back out in P11 and 12, which isn't too bad indeed, considering they were running in P10 and 11 anyway before those pit stops anyway. So not too bad indeed, actually, to be fair. Switching off the hard compound tyres and on to the medium compound tyres. Now the only runners on the hard compound tyres are the top two of Fanjo and Dylan, and Ultimate Beast there in P7 as well. So let's have a look and see how they're going to do. Unfortunately, Mr. Elite I'm not classifying because he's not in his car, unfortunately, which is a big shame. But Reflection there back out on track in P12. Emerson has made the opportunity to make a pit stop as well, as has Danny, as has V. Todd and Craig R. and Smithy. So they're just now catching up to the safety car queue. And Smithy will be very happy with that as well, because he was down and out in this race, wasn't he? At one point, he's now going to be back into the train. Like I said, we're going to have nine laps. I think we're going to have maybe 8 laps of racing once the safety car does resume, depending on when Smithy can catch up with the queue. But we'll be back underway very, very shortly. And we'll be back for some more action very soon as well. Like I said, it's a very quick race, this one, because of course it's one of the quickest races on the calendar. I think it is the quickest race in terms of time on the calendar, that is. So it doesn't take too long, this one, to get it completed. But even with the safety car, it's going to be less than 45 minutes. We had a safety car last night in gold, and the race winner finished under 40 minutes indeed. So, like I said, we're potentially looking around the 40-minute mark there for an Italian Grand Prix, that is. So it's not too long at all, and that was with the safety car as well. So, like I said, we'll have to wait and see how long this one's going to be out for. But Smithy there's coming through the Ascari chicane there. The race leaders are coming through turn 1, turn 1 chicane. and now they're going around the Curva Grande as well, so it's not too far behind. So let's have a look and see who's going to be when we're going to get going again. Hopefully at the end of lap 19, which will give us, like I said, 8 laps of racing. But we'll have to wait and see. Depends when Smithy can catch up to the safety car queue, and we can get ourselves back underway for the restart of this race. I think Serious Mushroom, I'm sorry, I didn't mean that comment out. It says hard users will be in 2 laps. I don't think that's going to be the case for Fangio and Dylan. I think they're going to stay out there and try and keep hold of their lead. Nigel might be very excited about this, same for Equaz and Dopey Lemons, although Equaz has picked up a penalty somewhere. 3 seconds there for Equaz, 3 for the Ultimate Beast, 6 for Farf, and 3 for Danny as well, unfortunately for those drivers there, which is not good news for those drivers at all. So let's have a look and see if we can get switched off. There we go. So right, we are ready to get going almost. I think we're just waiting for Smithy, like I said, to catch up with the queue. He is trying to get himself back in the queue, so it might be a late call here as well. We saw a late call, very late call indeed. We saw a very, very late call indeed, didn't we? In Gold last night, it was literally the safety car was at the Parabolica corner, and then that was when the safety car was called in. Yeah, it would be a very strange one if it does the same thing tonight, but it doesn't look like it's coming in just yet. It is coming in this lap. So Fangio now has to wait for the safety car to get himself back in the pit lane. But it's a very, very late call indeed. Fangio there will lead us back away. And we need to wait to the start-finish line there before we can make any overtakes, guys. But Fangio there, I think, has got himself back underway. Nigel's got himself got him through before the start-finish line, and that is not good news there for Nigel. That will be a penalty coming his way if he does keep hold of that position. He has dropped back. And he's let Dylan back through. Equaz now coming through as well, running around the outside there into the inside of the second corner of the chicane, I should say. And he's got himself back up into P3 there as Nigel battling away with Equaz, but a bit of an unfortunate move there as well. Beast and Beast, Rabbit and Farf all close together as well, going around Curva Grande. It's going to be 3 wide almost into the chicane. It seems that Dylan and Nigel switching places into P2. Goes Nigel up into P2, I should say, and there we go. Back down the order as Smithy got a 5 second for corner cutting there. I'm not sure what's happening there with Smithy. He's having a few issues there, but he got himself back into the battle. But he's now got level 5 second penalty, unfortunately for him. Beast there on the medium compound tyres, trying to bet himself past Rabbit. I think Beast, like I said, he was on the hard compound tyres, wasn't he? So he's now going to be he's actually trying to make the moves on the Mercedes rather than the other way around. You would have thought that the medium compound tyres would be much easier to warm up compared to the hard compound tyres, but it looks like Beast is having a great restart here as they now go down towards the Parabolica corner for the 20th time. Beast there and Rabbit they're slotting in behind. Dopey Lemon's on the inside. Dopey Lemon's gone slow there. Beast has gone miles off the circuit, unfortunately. He's lost the lead to Farf. Dad Murphy going to be interested as well in the battle of this in the battle with this McLaren, I should say. Sorry, I'm just getting all stuffed up now. as Dan Murphy trying to make a move there down the inside, was being pushed wide there by the McLaren, and up into P9 he goes. Deep on the brakes goes the McLaren as well, and Beast there keeps hold of the position just about. Potts trying to get himself through as well, but there's no moves being made just yet. Equaz and Dylan switching places. Equaz and Dylan side by side. Around Curva Grande. It's going to be close indeed between the Aston Martin and Williams down towards the Delavado chicane. It's going to be into the corner bit on the inside. There goes the Aston Martin. He's got the move made. He's up into P3. What a move indeed, and it was close indeed, and good battling there from Equaz and from Dylan as well, to be fair to both drivers there. They both gave each other enough room, even though Dylan doesn't want to let him by. He has to concede at some point when the Aston Martin, of course, is on the faster tyre. But Dylan there, of course, on the penalty situation, is still going to be on the podium for this race as it stands at the moment. That is because, of course, Equaz has a 3-second penalty to be added on to his race time at the end of this one. 21. We had David Lemons. They're going very, very wide. They're very odd through the Ascari chicane. Off the circuit goes Farf is into the wall. And Beast is into the wall as well. There's another McLaren. I think it's both McLarens off. No, it's just the AlphaTauri of Farf. And Ultimate Beast is out of this race as well, unfortunately for Beast. He is out of the race. I'm not quite sure what happened there. We have got, I think, a VSC. I think it's a VSC because there's no safety car on track. Beast has left the session there. He's had an incident there with Farf. Of course, if there is any incidents like that, we need to, I think we just get the footage in and see what happened. But I think Farf lost control of the car, and then Beast was right behind him, wasn't he? Or other way around. Either way, one of the drivers there had an incident there at Ascari, and that has cost them both their races, to be honest, as Farf is now down the order into P17, and of course he has that 6-second penalty that's going to be added on to his race time as well. So yeah, I'm not quite sure what happened there. We'll have to get the footage in for both sides, and we'll see what happens on that one as well. But yeah, it looked like there was just a bit of a mistake there between both drivers. Nigel up into P2, and he's now going to be right on the back there of the Haas driver of Fangio. Fangio does not want to see this, and I think same for Equaz. Equaz has got himself almost within the fray as well for the race lead, as he's going a bit further over his Delta, unfortunately, though. So there we go. As DRS has been re-enabled, no drive-through penalties thankfully for any of the drivers, but now Nigel all over the back of Fandra here as well, and towards Ascari once again. But like I said, Nigel is quite comfortable in this position. I think at the moment we'll have a look at the tyre situation, because once again he's on 6-lap-old medium compound tyres compared to 10-lap-old hard compound tyres. I don't think there's going to be much difference in terms of the overall pace just at the moment, but I would say that obviously with the DRS assistance and with the medium compound tyres and a bit of ERS potentially as well, Nigel will be able to breeze through very quickly indeed. Equaz has got himself up into, who's gone wide there, and Fandra I think going wide there at the final corner, parabolic on the exit. He's I kept hold of that P1 position, I think, because of that as well, to be honest. But Nigel there in P2, he's going to be trying to make a move, lining up the slight for the move into turn 1, but not too close to make that move. Unfortunately, he's managed to slot himself back in the pot stuff, and Emerson battling away into P9, P8 and 9. And Potstoff's got himself up into P8 there, ahead of the Ferrari driver. I think it was that way around anyway. Emerson trying to go back round the down around the Curva Grande towards the Della Rosa chicane. But let's have a look and see if he's going to go down the inside here. It's going to be close indeed between the two of them. Over the curbs goes Emerson. Potstoff there has gone over the curbs as well on the middle part of the corner and lost his place there to Irvine as well. Unfortunately for the Red Bull driver, back down into P10, and Emerson trying to get himself back after Dan Murphy there for P7, and Irvine there trying to get himself back on the order as well. Irvine doing a great job there. Of course, we saw him at the back of the field earlier on in this race. He's now back up into P9, potentially can get a few more points on the board for himself and for the Haas team as well. Currently his team leader, or the race leader, is his teammate, of course. So that is looking good indeed for the Haas outfit at the moment. They're both in the points pay positions, as is Dan Murphy and Equaz in the Aston Martin, I should say. Not looking too shabby at all at this point of the race. Ayrton briefly turned out too, says Serious Mushroom. So, there we go. Equaz there going fast is here comes Nigel in for the battle with the lead of the race. Oh, they're off the circuit there. They're on. Well, Nigel's tires on the grass there. Equaz going down the inside as well. Fander's gone over the corner. He's got a 5-second penalty for corner cutting there. That will be I can't say anything on that one. I'll have to review that one after the race. I don't want to say anything on commentary. But yeah, there you go. We'll have to look into that, because I'm not quite sure whether Fander could have made the corner or not. We'll have to find out. But there we go. Nigel there in. He's got a 5-second penalty as well for gaining a place there as well. So yeah, again, I don't know if that was completely legal there from Fangio, unfortunately. But yeah, we'll have to wait and see. Nigel there carries on. It stays in P2 for the time being. It was very close indeed between Nigel and Fangio there. Like I said, Nigel was forced onto the grass on the right hand side of that car as well. It was literally all over the grass there on that manoeuvre. Nigel there takes the lead of the race there into the Ascari chicane. He's got the move done now. He's trying to get himself away from Fangio as quickly as possible as well. Because I don't think he's going to be too pleased with the likes of Fangio's antics as well. He's not trying to return the favour as well down towards the next turn 1 as well. Potentially, we'll have to find out. But yeah, it was a bit too much of elbows out, I think, on that one. But thankfully, they're all okay for the time being. Anyway, they are. So that is good news indeed. Here comes Fangio back again, trying to get the lead back as well. They go down the main straight once again. Emerson sets the fastest lap again, which is good news. Rabbit's got past Dylan there for P4, and could potentially get himself on the podium here as Dylan. It's into the race lead. We go back at the race lead. We should say Nigel there and Fandro battling away once again. Equaz trying to get his nose in as there as well. It seems close indeed. The top 3 in the standings are about a 10th of a second split in the race as well. 3 wide, almost there into the Della Rosa chicane. No moves being made, but the lights are flashing there. The red lights are flashing there. It shows that the ERS is running out there for both these cars, all 3 of these cars. Equaz has dropped off the back there. and I think that's probably wise, to be fair, because I think it could end in a bit of a nightmare here for both drivers. Fangio there has got a 10-second penalty there, I think it was, in the end, because of course he had the 5-second of the corner cutting there, the first chicane, and the 5-second penalty there for the illegal overtake. I think Nigel was technically ahead, and then he got overtaken there. Dopey Lemons and Dylan switching places there into the Ascara chicane. No moves being made. Dylan stays in P5. Potsdam picks up a penalty. That's not good news, unfortunately, for Potsdam. Danny's off the circuit as well. Danny's off the circuit at the Ascara chicane. He's had a problem there at the exit of the final chicane. Unfortunately for Danny, he's dropped down the order. He needs to get himself back underway. That's a ghost car. You don't have to worry about the ghost car. But here comes Dylan, not Dylan. Here comes Nigel once again, but Equaz is battling through. Equaz is coming through now. Here comes Equaz. He's got himself up into P2, I think. Here he's going to be trying to get himself after the Haas as well, potentially down in towards the first chicane. Here we go then once again, deep on the brakes again. Nigel there keeps on the inside. He's kept the inside for the time being. Equaz goes around the outside. Here comes Brabbit as well. Brabbit's going to get his nose in there too. I think Brabbit is potentially on for a win here if he can get past Nigel. Going around the Curva Grande as well. Here comes Brabbit this time. He's got himself ahead of Nigel as well into the Del Orange chicane. It's going to be quite tight indeed, but Brabbit up into P3, and technically that is Brabbit onto the top step of the podium for the time being. Of course, the penalties will be evaluated after the race, blimey, this is one hell of a race indeed. Brabbit there doing a great job indeed. He's got himself up into P3 now. No penalties for the Mercedes driver. The same for Nigel, but Nigel they're losing out to the Mercedes there as well. We're on to lap 26 of 27. We're on to the penultimate lap here as well. 1.5 laps left to go in this Monza Grand Prix. And now Brabbit in prime position there to claim the lead, because of course Equaz has a 3-second penalty, and Fangio I think has a well, I'm not quite sure what penalties Fangio has, to be honest. We'll have to look at it after the race. Yeah, nonetheless, as Dopey Lemons has got himself past Dylan as well. Dylan there dropping down the order, unfortunately for Dylan there on the hard compound tyres. Yellow flags there. No yellow flags. Sorry, it was just I think it was Danny there getting himself back underway. But Danny could have, I think, could have pit there for the fastest lap on the soft compound tyres. Yellow flags for Smithy Almighty. Smithy Almighty's had an issue there at the Parabolica corner. Unfortunately for Smithy there, he's down the order. Father's gone onto the soft compound tyres, which is probably going for the fastest lap attempt. We'll have a look at the fastest lap attempt. Danny and Father both pitted for the soft compound tyres. Good stuff indeed. Now Equaz, the gaps have sort of stabilised at the moment, which is interesting to see. Dylan and Emerson in close to battle on track. Both these drivers, they're going in towards the Della Rosa chicane as well, into turn 3, and Emerson's made the move up into P6 there. Dylan's struggling there on the hard compound tyres. Dan Murphy's going to go down the inside as well. He's got the move made, and I think there was a pot stop right behind Dylan also. Dylan now struggling there on those hards. He's lost the position there to pot stop down the inside on the second Lesmer. That is an overtaking spot you don't often see. Irvine there getting himself interested as well. He's getting himself past pot stuff at the moment as well. This is going to be close indeed. This is the closest finish we've seen in silver all this season. Fangio there takes it. He's got himself a nice commanding lead now of half a second, which is pretty much the biggest gap we've got at the front of the field at the moment. Brabbit there in P3, Nigel in P4. He's going to be pushing on, trying to get himself past Brabbit there, but we'll come back to that battle. Nigel, Irvine, has got himself over to P9. Potsdam dropping back the hill. Here comes Fangio around the Parabolica to win the Italian Grand Prix on track, that is. And the Fangio there from pole position to the race lead. Brabbit there crosses the line to claim the victory on track with the penalties added on, of course. We'll have to have a look into the penalty situation as well. We'll see what happens. But the gap was so close indeed from the end of the safety car. We've finished the safety car on lap 21, even with 7 or 8 laps. Well, I think it was lap 20 actually, wasn't it? 8 laps of running. The gap stayed so close indeed for the last 8 laps or so. Smithy Almighty picked up a penalty there as well serves the penalty there for 5 seconds that he was, I think he picked up in the pit lane. But Brabbit there wins the Italian Grand Prix. Nigel in P2. Dopey Lemons finishes P3. Does get the fastest lap there on lap 27 at 21.431. We'll have to wait and see if Danny can try and usurp that as well. But I think Danny did usurp that as well potentially. But what a finish to the race. Indeed, and we need to get Brabbit, Nigel and Dopey Lemons into the commentary box there for some interviews for that one. I think that was an absolutely epic race indeed. I'm not quite sure if there was a driver of the day poll either, but we'll have to wait and see in the comment section as well if that's going to pop up at all. But nonetheless, there is your race winner there. Brabbit there takes the race win on track with the penalties applied there for the other drivers there. But we'll have to look into that as well, because of course if Fangio wins, says Equaz there on the comment section, I should say, but I'm not quite sure if that will be the case, we'll have to look into it after the race, of course. It will be evaluated because, like I said, he did cut the chicane, and it looks like, according to the game, he gained a place as well with an illegal overtake there. But we'll have to find out what actually went on there. But nonetheless, it was an absolutely epic race indeed, that one. There, your race winner there on track anyway. It was Brabham there in the Mercedes. A fantastic win there from the Mercedes driver, and of course his first win of the season as well. Nigel there in P2 and Dopey Levens in P3. No penalties for those two. Well, the top three drivers have got them a good result there. Emerson there with 2 pit stops as well, finishes in P4. Equaz in P5, Dan Murphy in P6, Dylan in P7, Irvine in P8 in the end. Good battling there at the end of that race as well. V Todd in P9, Reflection in P10, Potstuff just outside the top 10 with the P11 finish there with the penalties as well. Craig R in P12, Fandro there in P13, but of course we'll have to look into his penalty situation there as well. We'll have to evaluate that. Mr. Elite will not be classified as he wasn't in the race. He was not in his car. Smithy Almighty there in P14. Farf in P16. Didn't get the fastest lap because Danny in P16 did cross the line at the very end there to finish with a 21.111, which is the fastest lap of the session. So an extra point there for Danny. Beast there unfortunately retired in this race. The same for Ayrton in P19 and Collins in P20 with rear wing damage in this event as well. So wow, what a Grand Prix indeed. That was absolutely epic. The top 13 finishing within 8 seconds, of course, from each other. That is one hell of a race indeed, but fantastic stuff indeed. I think we've got the drivers there joining us for an interview as well. We'll quickly turn on the microphones, and we'll get ourselves an interview there with the top 3 podium drivers. But what a race indeed that was. Absolutely epic stuff indeed. Hopefully, well, fingers crossed we can hear each other. We'll have to have a look. Hopefully the drivers can hear me in the interview party.
Yeah, sure.
We can. Good stuff indeed. Is Dopey Lemons with us?
No.
No. Okay. We'll start with Nigel then. Nigel there, P2. But what were you thinking? Firstly, when you started on the hardcore man tires, were you worried about the other drivers around you on the mediums? Do you think you might lose out?
No, I had great pace yesterday, and I know I had to pace in the car for the hard medium stint. So it was the first stint was going well. Apart from the first lap, I was thinking a bit naughty, but I just came back from it and pushed the car to the end.
Well, it was an absolutely epic race, and then of course the safety car came out. I think it didn't really affect too many people. Maybe I think affected the likes of Dylan and Fandro there more because obviously they were on the hard compound tyres. But what was your thoughts when the safety car came out? Did you think you might have had the win in the bag then?
Yes, for sure, of course, because the mediums were a lot faster than the hards. But it was a great drive from Brabham, of course. He came first on the finish line with the penalties, so great job from him. But for me, it really sucks because I was very faster than Fangio, and he pushed me a lot of times off the track and get the penalty, 10-second penalty for it. But it was just a shame. He was blocking me on the track, and it was not pleasant to drive.
Okay, well, we'll have to look into that, of course, after the race. I think he'll probably get his footage in to try and get the penalties removed, so we'll have to evaluate what's going on with that one. But that will be looked at after the race, of course. We'll look at after the in the debrief, put it that way. Dopey Lemons has joined the party there. We'll go. Sorry, Brabham, we'll come back to you. But Dopey Lemons there has joined the party there. Dopey Lemons, your first time with a podium interview, but what a race from yourself. Kept it clean, kept it consistent, and you got the final step on the podium there.
Yeah, that was quite lucky, actually. I think quite lucky that Equus had a penalty, and I was just about there, I think.
Like I was saying, you took a leaf out of Equaz's book there because you kept it clean and consistent. Where a few drivers there, like Nigel was just saying, there are a few drivers having a few issues in that race, and like I said, you just sort of snuck through there and got yourself up onto the podium places. So no, it was a really good race from yourself indeed. What, were you thinking you could be on for a podium in this race?
Not at all. after qualifying, it was. I think I qualified in 8th, so I wasn't really hoping for a podium, to be honest. Yeah, safety car kind of helped out, and being on the mediums at the end ended up being the right call.
No, it was a cracking job from yourself as well, and like I said, a very good race indeed for you. What's your thoughts quickly before we get on to Brabham as well? What's your thoughts for Singapore next week?
I usually end up in the wall, so we'll see how that goes.
Right, okay. Because it's silver, it's going to be a wet race as well, so that might be more helpful for you for ending up in the wall.
That'll be Far's favourite.
Yeah, okay, brilliant stuff. No, we'll hopefully see you next week as well for another interview. But we'll go to the race leader now, the race winner, I should say, of Brabbit there. Brabbit, your first race win in ALR Silver. How does that feel?
Si ragazzi, grazie. You can now call me ALR winner. Yes! So I'm very happy. I saw the opportunity while overtaking Nigel. I was only seeing red lights flashing in front of me, and I knew this was my chance. So sorry, Nigel, but I really want this. And yeah, in the end, I knew the guys in front of me had some penalties, so I just was bringing it home. And yeah, a little bit unexpected, but I will take it.
No, it was a very, very good race from you indeed, and of course the same strategy as Nigel there. You started on the hard compound tyres and on the mediums at the second stint after the safety car as well. It looked like it was just definitely the right call, a brilliant call indeed from both you guys, to be fair, from all the drivers who did that as well. But a really good strategy call indeed. And when the safety car came out, you were in P6. Did you think you might be on for a podium or for the win even?
100% sure, yes, of course.
Good
Now
stuff, that's very
the safety
positive.
car. Now the safety car was good for me. Of course, I was struggling in the first half. I was trying to avoid any incident, so I was maybe a little bit too careful, and I dropped back to P9, I think. But then I pushed back to P6, and I was following Podstuff in his DRS. And yeah, then the safety car was helping me to close the gap, and then I just did zero mistakes. I just was on one warning, so I was quite confident, but still really trying to get every corner right and not to lose the car, because the curbs are very horrible on this track. But all in all, I think it's a consistent performance today, and I just took the opportunity to overtake Nigel, and this was the key. And yeah, sorry Nigel, but one time I have to beat you, and this was the right track for me.
What's your comments on that, Nigel?
Yeah, it's nice for him, but for me it was a very frustrating race. But I'm happy for Brabbit. He deserved it, because
Thank
top
you,
was just
Nigel.
driving crazy, and yeah, we didn't deserve it.
Thank you, mate. But I think you did everything wrong, because you didn't took any risky move, and yeah, I just
If you
saw
watch
the
my
opportunity.
stream,
I had
if
a
you-
little. Please, what?
If you watch my stream, you will see everything what I did. I did
Yeah.
everything.
Okay.
But
I
we come
think-
back to that. We will come back to that.
Yeah, I
It was
think
it was a
the-
good race from you all indeed, and congratulations to everybody on the podium as well. Congratulations to everyone who finished the race. To be honest, as well. To be honest, it's not an easy one sometimes, but no, really well done indeed to Brabbit, your race winner, Nigel in P2, and Dopey Lemons there in P3. We'll be back for more ALR action, of course, tomorrow night. We've got bronze here at 7:30 p.m. on the Tuesdays, and then on the Wednesday we've got the 100% League. We're going to be in Australia there, giving you the preview to the Australian Grand Prix, of course, coming up on Sunday as well. So stay tuned to ALR. There's plenty more action coming up, and we'll see you soon.